Hello and welcome to today, day 4 of Facebook Lives, when we're talking anxiety. Just wait again for some people to come on, so I'm not talking to myself, because it's really good if you can hear from the start and you can interact as well. If you have any questions at all in what we're talking about today, or any questions in regards to any of the lives we've done this week. We have someone come on, a few people come on, so welcome. If you'd like to say hello, that would be wonderful. Hello, Mark. I think this is the first time you've joined us live this week, so welcome. Today I'm wanting to talk about how anxiety or worry or nervousness, how that serves you. What is it that you feel that you get out of worrying, stress, anxiety? Why do you keep bringing yourself into that same state, that same uncomfortable state, when you really don't like it, when it really isn't serving you, what you believe it isn't serving you? But obviously it is, because if it wasn't serving, if you weren't getting something out of it, you wouldn't be continuing to, I guess, self-create or allow yourself to be involved in that state of emotion. So has anybody that's watching, has anybody got any idea of how anxiety is serving them and what you actually are getting from that state of anxiety? And it may not be a question that you can answer that easily, because you're thinking, well, it's really uncomfortable. It's just holding me back. So how is it serving me? And you might think, well, it's not serving me. But you have to be getting something out of it, because you know what? It's a familiar feeling that you keep coming back to. You keep creating situations or finding yourself in situations that allow you to feel these same uncomfortable feelings. So even though you don't like it, it's familiar, and it's really easy to get stuck in that state of familiarity, whether it be anxiety or any other kind of pattern, any other situation or circumstance, that you find yourself in that same circumstance over and over again, as much as you consciously don't like it. It is a familiar state. It is, and quite often it is what we believe within ourselves. It's the devil that you know rather than the devil that you don't know. And even though we know that if we weren't anxious and we would be able to get on with whatever it is that we're not able to do when we're in that anxious state, no matter how good it is on the other side, because we haven't experienced it, we don't know. It is unfamiliar. It's something that we're not knowing about. So unless we give ourselves the chance to experience something different, we're never going to know. It is a way of keeping ourselves stuck within that same emotion, stuck within the same experience, stuck on that hamster wheel, a cycle of, we're doing the same thing over and over and again, but we're not experiencing it any differently. We're still experiencing it exactly the same. It's like doing the same routine over and over again. It also disconnects us from ourselves. It disconnects us from other people, because with time we feel like, with all the stuff that's going on inside of us and all the emotions that it raises, it pushes us away from people. It causes us to withdraw, because that uncomfortable state, that embarrassment, that shame, those uncomfortable feelings become that wedge between us and everybody else. And so we don't have to explain to anybody why we can't do this, why we can't do that, why we feel this way, why we're experiencing this anxiety or these feelings or anything like that. It's easier to just separate. It's easier to create the drama than to sit with our own emotions, to elevate within our own emotions as well. Now, at first you might think all of this might be a little bit odd. You might think, no, there's no way I could be doing that. But really, anxiety is just a way for you not to grow anymore in that particular area, not to better yourself, not to learn something new, not to do something new, not to be the light in your life that that is what is within you. So maybe you need to, let's say we want to experience the same life in a different way. So even though we have everything in our life going on that's exactly the same, we choose to experience that differently. And what I mean by that is you get up, you go to work, you come home, you look after the kids, you look after the house, you fall asleep, and we get up and do the same thing again. The weekend is all about paying the bills, doing the shopping, doing the housework, running around after the children. Somewhere in between we might fit in some social life as well. But really, we're doing the same things over and over again. And yes, that can become boring and tiresome and a routine. But if that's our life, let's try and experiencing that life a little bit differently. And you can start off by perhaps just changing your thoughts around that. Instead of waking up thinking, the same old again today. I'm so over it. I'm so sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to do this anymore. Instead of waking up and you can go, okay, yes, I have to do the same things today, but you know what? I want to do them a little bit different. I want to spice things up. I want to amp things up. So you might have to go to work and, that's the start of it. But instead of having a coffee on the way to work, maybe you want to mix it up and maybe just do something different, really small difference, but like, I'm going to have a chai, or I'm going to have a tea or a hot chocolate. I know it's only a small difference, but it's making one change. Let's just say I never wear my hair up to go to work, but you know what? I feel like I want to do something different, so let's mix that up. And then at lunch, well, I'm really sick of the choices that we have for lunch. If I take my lunch, this is usually what it is, or if I'm buying my lunch, I only have a limited choice and I'm really sick of that choice. Okay, so get out your cookbooks, get on the internet. This must be really important because my dog wants to bark. And she always barks when it's a bad time for me, so it's a really good, strong message. So let us just dive in and really mix up food choices. So can you see where I'm going with this? We can experience the same life but make little changes within our life that we're experiencing it different. We're trying different things to see how we feel. Maybe, we're not going to go the same way to work. We're going to, it might be a little bit longer, it might be 5 or 10 minutes longer, but, let's go the scenic route. Let's see things that we don't normally see. Let's look at when we get home. Okay, so I always have to say, I have a routine. This is what I do. Maybe it's delegated to somebody else. Maybe we mix up that routine. Maybe we throw that routine out the window and say, you know what? It's board night tonight. Let's let go of all the chores that are not essential for this evening, and we're going to have a board night. So that means that the whole family is involved and we're all communicating. We're all coming together for a common cause. So we start with our outlook in life. Instead of waking up thinking, oh, it's another boring day, how can I add some spice to my day? How can I look forward to today? I just want to read some comments. Leanne, you're hitting the nail on the head with every emotion that I feel. And Katrina, yes, open our perception. That's right. It's all about the perception. And how we look at things, changing our perspective on things. It really opens our eyes to what else is available to us, what all the different possibilities there are, not just the way you, and it's a choice, not just the way that you choose to see things, the way that you choose to see life. Because once you start doing that, you'll be able to see, I don't have to do things this way. I can change it up and life is still okay. Things are not going to fall apart because I'm not keeping this rigid structure. And you know what? Maybe I am a little bit happier. Maybe I can not have that control, because anxiety is very much about we need to have that structure because that allows us to feel safe. But maybe you can let go of some of that structure and realize that your life and your world is not going to fall apart. And you can add a little bit more fun and adventure into your life. And you know what? It actually works. And you can actually enjoy it, and it actually feels really good. So these are just some really small things that can make really big changes. But it all involves your expectation. Don't go in there expecting change overnight, because you've been living with this quite possibly your whole life, or pretty much your whole life. So for all that time that you've had it, you've encouraged it, you've nurtured it, you've loved that anxiety to be and build it up to how it is expressing itself today. To think that it's going to change in a day or two, a week or two, it's just unrealistic. You don't spend a lifetime creating something and then it just falls apart in a very short time. It takes time. It's like when you're creating a habit, it takes time of doing that same thing over and over again, reaffirming of of what you're building. So that's the same with anxiety. We're recreating our reality. The reality that we are stuck in is not one that we have to live within. We can change it. We can mold it and manipulate it to be, when I say manipulate, that's probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Mold it, shape it, create it to be something different, not something that we have grown to understand it to be. And we do that with the really small things that don't look like anxiety. And it's a matter of playing around with things to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And you'll find different things will work at different times. So don't be afraid to play with things, and don't get stuck in your head about how something should be. So now I want to leave you with a final tip. But firstly, I want to ask you, when you are stuck in anxiety or stress or worry or tension or anything like that, how do you move your energy through your body? Now, I want to ask you that for two reasons. One, we have to move that energy out of our body, because if that energy is within our body, it's just going to get stuck in this big ball and clog ourselves up, and we're just going to have blockages everywhere. The second thing, the reason why I ask you, is that you may do it already. You already may have something that you do. You just don't realize that of what you do. Now, I've only realized maybe 6 to 12 months ago what I do. Now, I've always known that I do it, but I didn't put the two and two together. It's because mostly I do it because I'm anxious, or I do it when I'm uptight, or there's a few other times that I do it as well. But I pace. I walk backwards and forwards. Now, I remember distinctly doing it when I had my last child, when I was in labour. I just walked that hospital backwards and forwards. But what I didn't realise at the time is I had to move. I had to keep that energy flowing. I couldn't just, waiting for something to happen, waiting for that baby to be born, I had to move that energy out of my body. And your body instinctively knows what it needs, so it does it, or it tries to do it. And when I say it tries to do it, because you may inadvertently put a stop to that or change it or do something. Lydia, breath exercises in nature or Reiki is how I try and manage my anxiety. They are wonderful things, but I just want to say something, but this is a whole nother subject. When you say that's how I try to manage my anxiety, you've got to leave that word try out of it. You just say that is how I manage my anxiety. Because trying changes it. It says I'm not there yet. When you just say that, when you say that is how I manage my anxiety, you've just reaffirmed to yourself that that is what I do, that's what works. So it's very much about the self-talk, but we might talk about that tomorrow. And Nikki says it takes a long time to retrain the brain. These little tips will help, and thank you. It does take a long time, but I want to give you these different tips because everyone connects differently to different things. So what may work for, say, you may not work for me. And I'll give you a classic example of when people say, look, there's those 5 things where you look for 5 things, you listen for 5 things, all that. I can tell you, don't even bother telling me about that because all it does is make me angry and I just want to smack you. That is not how I work with it. But yet other people I speak to, they swear by it, that is the only thing that helps them. So don't be afraid that, you might try 9 out of 10 things and they don't work for you. The 10th thing you might go, oh, finally found it. So I also have to say, don't ever give up and don't be afraid to keep using the same technique for a while until you give yourself enough chance to let it work or not work. Because if you go in there with a state of resistance and thinking, I've tried a few things and it doesn't work, you've already decided that anything that you're going to try is not going to work. And it's not, because there's already that mental block there that it's not going to work. But anyway, again, we're getting off track. So like Lydia said, the breathing exercises where you take those slow inhales in, and it's really deep breathing, because when you get into that flustered state, you're shallow breathing, and that shallow breathing causes you to hyperventilate, which sets you off into that perpetual motion of that cycle of that you're hyperventilating, you're working yourself up again, and you're getting yourself into that state. So with that really slow breathing, so we say 4 breaths in, hold for 2, and then slowly release to the count of 6. So release for, say, 2 more counts than when you take the breath in, and exhale every single breath. And that allows the body to calm down, the physical sensation of calming down, because that's what really works for me. That's a really great reset. Something else would be to put a hand over your heart. So that reconnects you with yourself. You're touching your physical body. So you're coming back into your body rather than your head. You're feeling your heartbeat and you're self-soothing. So you're doing something for yourself. It is you that is doing that. It's no other technique. It's no other anything. It's you. And you're the best person to calm yourself down. I mean, after all, you're the one that's created all that hype within your head, which has then gone into the physical. So why can't you be the one that calms yourself down? You are the perfect person to help yourself. So thank you for watching today. If you have any other comments in regards to anything I've spoken about today, I'd love to hear it. Any feedback at all. If you haven't watched the previous 3 days videos, they're up on my timeline, so go in, watch them. They're all about 10-15 minutes, because I don't like to give you too much each day, because I don't want to overwhelm you and give you too much information, because then again it's all that processing and thinking, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do first, I don't know, and that will set you off again. So a little bit each day is just enough for you to process and a little tip each day for you to work with. Yeah, so go in, watch those videos and leave a comment as well. I would love for you to do that. Tomorrow is our final day, so I hope you can all tune in at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Sydney time. If you can't, the video will be posted online as well. So thank you again for today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Bye.